designing your unique future. You're each unique, and wow, I want to ask, who is here that this is the first time you've attended this conference? Okay. And who came to the very first conference? Wow. You're in for a special treat. I want you to look at your person next to you, and I want you to say, I'm glad you're here. I love it. Some of you are saying, I'm just glad I'm out of the office, right? It's Friday. It's a wonderful time. I want you all to look at me and say, I am glad I am here, and I'm going to make the best out of this experience. I'm glad I'm here, and I'm going to make the best out of this experience. You know, we have to thank, wow, Dr. Benz, what a role model. And she has taught, I know, me so much, and we have to thank her for leaving a legacy. Dr. Martha Saunders, who is, you know, right there with her, and Dr. Tim O'Keefe for what you're doing in the School of Business, and our good friend Dr. Ed Ranelli, who's been a mentor for many, many years. And last but not least, don't forget Dr. Sherry Hardnett. I can remember the first time Sherry and I went to lunch when she was doing the first seminar. She was afraid no one would show up, and it's been sold out every year. So as I prepared for this, I took all the questions and I put them in a cloud and kind of sorted some of your concerns. And I saw something unique about this. The bold and the bigger letters are the areas that you had more questions about, that you wanted to know about. And it's interesting, if you look at this, look at how much relates around communication, changing communication style, communicating with a group. You know, how males and females, what style should you use, I guess, when you communicate? Effective communication. 30% of what this group wanted to hear about was about how do I communicate. And I will tell you, communication is very important. And you have some phenomenal panelists today. They're experts in their fields, and it's just exciting to see or get out of what you're going to get out of this today. What I really suggest you do is you're going to take lots of notes. But today's about walking away with something you can act on, and something that will not just motivate you when you leave, but you can do something that will change the way you're doing things, or something that will impact your life. So write a lot of notes, but every time you come across something that you might want to act on, put an A by it. And then maybe there's something you want to teach to your mentee. And then go back at the end of this conference and go back and prioritize what you want to work on and what you really want to change. That's a little method that I use, and it's so powerful because you're going to get lots of notes today, and you really, really want to use this to your benefit. You know, success looks different to all of us, and we're each unique in our own way. You know, that's what's so special about us. And what forms the uniqueness of each of us? It's our experiences. I've had different experiences than you, and you've had different experiences than I have. And we don't all have the same path to success, do we? We all have a different path, but many and all of us want success. Whatever success means to you, it's not taken by the same paths. And like Dr. Ben said, it's the choices we make every day. It's those choices that you're going to make, whether you're going to come in early, stay late, push through those extra things that you need to do this week to make a difference. But I've been fortunate to have mentors that I really think helped me make good choices along the way. Regardless of where I've been in my career, I've always had mentors, and many of you are in this room. You've been my mentors for many years. Some are my mentees in this room. And what I found is that I could have a lot of dialogue with individuals, but the experiences that those mentors created for me and the experiences that I created for others were experiences that really helped me grow. It helped me grow out of my comfort zone. They're experiences that I was ready for the next level of challenge. So you really need to think, and today I want to talk about experiences that you can create for yourself and for others that really, really will help you grow. Now, you're going to hear me talk about the ability to look at the big picture. And I'm going to talk a little bit and give you examples of how you need to keep things in perspective. I like to summarize my levels of mentorship in self-mentorship. That might be where you are doing things, reading about great leaders. Like I did in 2007 when I left banking, I traveled all over the United States. I went to Canada, and I went to every seminar that I could find. I went to, in 1 year, I think it was 15 different seminars all over the country, because I decided that I wanted to grow on a more global basis. I wanted to connect with people from all over the world. I felt like, there was something that I was missing if I didn't get out and do that. And thank goodness I did that, because in the process of doing that, I learned a lot about listening and what other people found to be important from all over the world. So self-mentorship is very important for you. And you can also do that with assessment tools that you can get. There's many, many, many assessment tools out that you can study on your own, and especially around communication if you want to improve your communication skills. I like mentorship with experiences. Mentorships and things I want to share with you today are actually experiences that were created for me, or I can create for others, that really make a difference and help someone grow. They improve your self-discipline, inspire you to act. Now, I'm not a big person on motivation. I want to be inspired to act. If you don't act, what happens? You don't accomplish anything. So that supportive mentorship, too, is very important. And Dr. Benz touched on that. She said, did you hear her say, who do you talk to? We all need someone that we can trust and that we can talk to. And that supportive mentorship, that safe haven, is very important. I will just say that life will provide us an experience when we least expect it, right? Floods, tornadoes, hurricanes, Hurricane Ivan. On a personal note, while Charles and I were busy making other plans, we've been given the experience of dementia. How many of you in this room have had a friend or you personally experienced a life-changing event in the past year? It happens to all of us. And what we need is to make sure that we have a safe haven and someone that we trust in a mentor that we can connect to, that we can have a conversation with, that we feel that we have an outlet. And that's something that they can help us with, that word called perspective. And that's the ability to see the bigger picture, right? And I know that in my career, when I was in banking, and there were lots and lots of growth going on, I know I used a safe haven with mentors many, many times. And it was in those times that you could have conversation when you're going through difficult situations, either in your personal life or in your business life. You need those safe havens. How many of you are mentors in the room? How many of you are mentees? Well, what I hope is that you're both. I hope that I have some mentees that just I love to be with, but I also love someone mentoring me too. Even at this over the hump age, you all, if you're not there, you will get there one day. But I don't want you to underestimate a mentee, for example, at the age of 12. Can you imagine? A mentee at the age of 12 that can put you in perspective. You know, when I'm having a bad day now, working in the foundation, if I want to get my life in perspective, I walk up to the neonatal intensive care, right, Dr. Mehta? And I just walk through there and I see children hanging on for life. I see doctors running around trying to comfort families. And I can get my life in perspective pretty quick. I want to tell you about Drew. Drew was out on an afternoon fishing with his dad. He was snorkeling. His dad was casting, I think, a mullet net. And they were having a wonderful day in the bayou. And before they knew it, this boat came out of nowhere. And the father went to wave the boat away, and the person driving the boat didn't see Drew and actually ran over Drew. Drew was with us at the Sacred Heart Children's Hospital for 75 days and 13 surgeries. The doctors and the nurses didn't know if Drew was going to make it. It was a very, very, very tough time. But I want to tell you about Drew. Drew made it. You're going to hear a lot more about Drew. But let me tell you, Drew, they did a video of Drew. And Drew said, God has a purpose, and I just can't wait to find out what it is. The good news is, Drew is now training for a marathon, and he's back at school. Isn't that perspective? When you can have a child that has gone through, and he's 12 years old, that realizes that he is here for a purpose. How powerful is that? So, my father and mother were in New Mexico. My father was in the military, as the video shared. They were married, had 5 children in 7 years. And my father gained, when I was 3, my father gained custody of all 5 of us on grounds of abandonment. So as a result of that, my father needed help. And there was 2 ways you could enter the foster care system, and you can probably still do that today. One is protective custody, and one is church families will come together and take children in temporarily and house them. And that's what my father thought. My father thought that, hey, I can get some help. I'll split the children up. So my older brother and sister went with an aunt and uncle in Columbus, Georgia. And the 3 little ones, I was the middle child. I was called the little mother. I was the bossy one. And I actually was always watching out for my 2 little siblings. So my father only wanted a nurturing environment for us. So he made that decision. And he ended up living by himself, never married again. But he always made certain that we had what we needed. He was always there. And he was always there, I remember, giving me a lecture from time to time. So fast forward to my graduation. I had lived in 6 homes. And I was on the way to Pensacola State College on a clarinet scholarship. I can remember the day that I moved to Pensacola. I remember the day I drove over the Pensacola Bay Bridge. I didn't have air conditioning in my car, so I had the windows down, and I was breathing that salt air. And I remember thinking, wow, I've got a future. I'm going to make things happen. I'm so excited. And I remember that I was a little scared because I did not know anyone in Pensacola. But I had wonderful mentors that would really surround me and continue to give me that courage to do the next thing. Yes, there were times that I was discouraged, and maybe you can relate to this. There were times when people would say, you're not going to succeed, or you're not good enough. But I always had those mentors to go to that said, you can do anything you want, Carol. You can be anything you want. You can be the president of a bank. You can create your own company. So I just remember those times when I had all of that courage with mentors around. They saw something in me that maybe I didn't see, kind of like a diamond. You know, diamonds are rough and they need shaping. Well, I was a diamond in the rough and I needed to be shaped. I did not pick that picture, but for some reason, I guess that's back when we did the glamour shots. But I needed a lot of polishing. I needed a lot of mentoring. So we found that, and I said, I cannot believe I had that picture. But anyway, I was very fortunate to have many mentors, and many of them are in this room today. You're still my mentors. You're my friends. And I've done things beyond my wildest dreams, and I'm not finished yet. I'm very young. I've got a long ways to go. And I want to say now for more than 6 decades, many of you have supported me in business, and I really can't thank you enough. I struggle today with, what mentors I was going to share with you. And I think when you hear the examples that I give, you'll know why. I do want to say, how many of you in this room are teachers or worked in the school system or work in the university system or in any part of education? I want you to raise your hand. I want to say thank you for what you do, because teachers were powerful in my life. Regardless of where I was, they were always there. And bless you for what you do every day, because I still pull from those experiences. So these mentors created experiences for me that would help me grow. And they provided experiences that took me out of my comfort zone. Music was always a part of my life. I sang in the church choir. I was in the band. I did a lot. Now, I will tell you this picture. This is the Fort Walton Viking Band. Anybody know this band? Okay, I will tell you. Oh, you're a Viking. Well, when I started, we were the second graduating class from Fort Walton High. I actually wanted to be an Indian because you got to wear the long headdresses, but I ended up being a Viking. But I'll tell you about this. I've been in fundraising since I was in high school, and one of my experiences was I got to lead the effort to raise the money for these new uniforms, and those were really hot. They were wool, and you had this big hat, and when you get wet, that's not fun. So I'd always had music as a part of my life. I was the drill team captain with the band. I played clarinet, and I also, during symphonic season, that's me on the left, and then I played clarinet during symphonic season, so I really, really enjoyed those days. My band director and his wife saw something special in me, something I didn't see, and they taught me a lot of non-negotiables. Always being on time, being prepared for every event, be your best and be a leader, take on new responsibility and be dependable, and learning how to balance. I had a full-time job, as soon as I could get a job, I had a job, had a full-time job, and I had to learn how to balance band, chorus, and all of the other activities that I wanted to be a part of. And they allowed me to make mistakes, and they allowed me to make decisions so that I could become a leader. And one lesson that was very tough for me, if you're in a leadership position, was I had, my senior year, I was president of the band. I was sitting first chair. We had a very, very important concert coming up. And I was in that time of my life when I thought I was indispensable. And I thought I was a little bit better than everyone else. And I don't see anybody shaking their head, so evidently nobody else has experienced this. So I remember on this one particular day, it was really important. We had a big concert coming up, and sitting first chair, you have a solo part usually. And I remember that I took it for granted, and I showed up late. And I remember running down the stairs with clarinet in hand, and I pushed on the glass door, and there was a locked door. And all my peers are on the other side looking at me, and no one was going to open the door. So the non-negotiable was, if you're late, if you don't practice, you don't play. And so what do you think the lesson in that was? Well, I wasn't indispensable, and I didn't play. And there was always someone that could take that spot. So I learned a lot from that lesson. My band director and his wife actually took me to 4 different colleges, and at each one I auditioned, and I had an opportunity to go to 4 different schools on a music scholarship. But I chose Pensacola State College at the time. Back then, Dr. Rinelli, Pensacola State was a 2-year school, and University of West Florida was your upper 2. So I came to Pensacola State College, and I remember saying to the Hebsons, the band director and his wife, and I remember saying, I can't thank you enough for giving me this experience. They were like family. They were someone that I really admired, really thought a lot of. And I remember saying to them, I will pay this forward one day. I don't know how, but I will pay this forward. So the experiences that they provided me opened many doors, and ultimately my first job in banking, which led to many other experiences that bring me to where I am today as president of the Sacred Heart Foundation. And we're leading one of the largest capital campaigns for a brand new children's hospital, which you will very soon, groundbreaking will be on May the 3rd. So I'm very excited about that. So another powerful experience that was gifted to me was meeting Paul Martinelli, president of the John Maxwell team, and John Maxwell. Many of you know that I'm a founding partner with that, and part of the John Maxwell team globally now is 8,000 strong, and it's a member of they're members from every group, every stage of life, from every industry. And those in this elite group, and some of them are in this room, are some of the most sought-after group coaches, teachers, trainers, and speakers and professionals in the world. And if you don't want to be a speaker, you can still get a lot of growth, good self-mentoring, and also ability to mentor others. John Maxwell, if you don't know, is just recently been named by Inc. magazine the #1 leadership development person in the world. John's trained over 3 million individuals throughout the world, and he has 74 leadership books. So I worked with Paul Martinelli. I got to know Paul Martinelli first. And Paul was doing a transition. That time I told you I traveled all over the United States, that's when I met Paul and his wife, Kelly. And I remember being in Delray Beach, and I invited Paul to Pensacola, and Paul was in a transition and wanted to test some seminars. So I said, Paul, I'll be a guinea pig. Let's do this. So we came to Pensacola. We did some small seminars. And then Paul kind of took me under his wing, and he was teaching me some stuff that he knew. Meantime, the next thing I know, I get to meet John Maxwell. Meantime, Paul, myself, and Kelly go to Los Angeles, and we're with Les Brown, and there were Mary Morrissey and some other individuals. And Paul took 5 of us and took us into a room and shared his vision for the concept of what is now John Maxwell, the John Maxwell team. It was actually Paul Martinelli's brainchild. That's why Paul is president of the John Maxwell team. And from there, I was one of the first 5 that came on the advisory board. And from there, we got to going to meet with John on a regular basis. And I remember in one of the meetings, John said, well, we'd like to test some small cities. And I said, Pensacola is a great place. You should come to Pensacola. I'm always looking for something for Pensacola. He had said that he would come for free. And I said, Pensacola would love this. And please gift this to Pensacola. Well, I signed up and said we would do it. We had a year to put the seminar together. How many of you went to the first seminar? Well, little did I know that John he was used to big crowds. And I was told that we wanted at least 10,000 people. So I said, sure, we'll get 10,000. Sure. So I remember coming home, and I woke Charles up about 3 days later after I got home, and I woke him, and I said, Charles, I can't sleep. And he said, what's wrong? I said, you won't believe what I did. And he said, what? I said, I told John Maxwell I'd fill the Civic Center. And he looked at me and he said, you can do it. Now go back to sleep. And I remember just saying, wow, he thinks I can. I'm not sure I can. But what I did, I pulled all my mentors and friends together, and we put a plan together. And wow, the next thing I know, we filled the Civic Center. We not only had the first John Maxwell event, but John came back and did a phenomenal fundraiser for the Children's Hospital. And those of you that saw Nick Vujicic, I think that was Nick on the screen there, phenomenal individual. So again, John allowed me to grow. I remember I told John, he said, Carol, I want you to get on the stage. I said, John, I can't do that. I'm not ready. I don't think I can speak in front of that many people. He said, do you speak? And I go, well, I pretend I speak. And he said, Carol, if you're going to be a speaker, you've got to start being a speaker. You're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. And so I agreed to lead some of that. And that experience that he provided to me allowed me to grow. So now I'm at the point in my life where I can pay some things forward. And as I was planning to bring John Maxwell to Pensacola, those of you that know me know that I like to walk on the weekends. I go downtown, I walk 6 miles, I'm not a runner, and I love downtown, and I just explore downtown. If you haven't done that, do that. So I'm the frizzy-haired looking lady with the visor and the sunglasses, hoping no one knows who I am, and I walk. And one particular day, I decided to walk to Belmont Art Center. I'd never been there before. And as I walked in, there was this young man to the left. I actually took this picture with my cell phone. And his name is Ramel Price. And I was infatuated of how Ramel was teaching the other students to play. If you know about the Belmont Art Center, Art Center was founded by Vivian Lamont, a beautiful lady that wanted every child that wanted to learn music, she wanted to give them an opportunity. So the Belmont Art Center is full of children, And the little gentleman, okay, so let's go back one if I could. So in the back, you see Graham Lewisell. So Graham and Lewisell was in the 9th grade. Ramel was a senior. So I decided that I loved that place so much that I'd go back every weekend. I'd go for my walk, and I'd end up at Belmont Arts Center. And one day I went in, and these two guys are playing this beautiful piece of music. And I said, where did you learn this? And they said, well, we originally taught ourselves. And I said, but you're teaching other kids too? And they said, yes. And I said, let me ask you something. How would you like the experience of your lifetime? They said, what is it? And I said, how would you like to play in front of a large group? And Graham just looked at me, and Ramel said, we would like that. And I said, now, Ramel, there are going to be like 10,000 people there. And he goes, I would like that. And I said, okay. So I asked Don Snowden, who actually goes down and mentors with the children, I said, would you prepare them, because I want them to perform at the John Maxwell. I wanted to highlight young students from this area, and I wanted to showcase what we really have in this community. And we have a lot of diamonds, right? A lot of emeralds that can be polished. So I actually, they practiced, and here is Ramel playing at the first. So let me tell you, while I got to know him, I asked Ramel, I said, where are you going to college? He said, well, I'd really love to go to Juilliard. And I said, well, have you told Juilliard School of Music you want to be there? And he said, well, I haven't really planned that yet. I said, would you like to go local as a start? And so the first event that we had, we invited Ramel's parents. We invited Vivian Lamont, and we put them on the front row, and they thought they were there to hear their children play, both Graham Louisiel's parents and Ramel Price. What they didn't know was we were going to present Ramel with a scholarship to Pensacola State College. And so at that point, Ramel, Graham is in the 9th grade, and he's been off, well, he's further up now, but that would be 2 years. He's probably a junior. Graham was offered the same thing, but Ramel received his scholarship. That's Ramel. And then we see the very excited parents that did not know. And then the entire audience, if you can imagine, gave them a standing ovation, and it was just powerful. And I want to tell you, Dr. Rinelli, and I see Dr. Rinelli and Dr. O'Keefe here, he's now at University of West Florida. He is an exceptional student, and Ramel will never forget the experiences that he gained from that. He grew. He's playing with a symphony on a couple of occasions, and he is going to make University of West Florida proud. So when you see Ramel, just tell him, wow, I hear you play the violin. Maybe he'll play it for you. But he's really, really a phenomenal young man. So we need mentors that support us, mentors that pay it forward, and mentors that create experiences that are life-changing. Mentors can open the doors for you. Mentors can challenge you to be your best. I'd like to challenge each of you today, each of you, again, to think about all these questions that you have and areas that you might want to work on. One area, and I hear this from Dr. Hardnett, and I will be honest with you, the students that I have mentored, communication is so important. And you look at this, and they say that the top most successful leaders have really 5 skill set areas that they just are very proficient at and they excel at. And those are influencing others, interpersonal skills, personal accountability, self-management, and goal achievement. The top two are about communication. And I can't express enough to each of you how important it is to be able to get along with a diverse group of people. The one thing I will never trade in my life, and that's living in those 6 different homes. I learn more about people, I learn more about diversity, and I learn more about loving everyone and not being judgmental. And I think that's what we need more of today. So I want to leave you with a challenge to think about something that you need to improve on. Be a mentor, find a mentor, and coach someone. This program here is wonderful. So I want to leave each of you with an experience, and it's a gift, and you have a very short period of time if you want to take advantage of it. If you, it is only for the people that came and are in this room. I want to qualify that. But if you want to work on your communication skills, there is a tool. It's called Talent Insights. And you can go to carolcarlangift.com. And if you put in your information, we will send you a link. It's free. A link, and you will get the assessment. It is an assessment that you can read yourself. You can self-manage yourself and improve in some of your communication skills. This link will not be available to anyone that didn't come to this conference, okay? Please, this is an investment in those of you that came. It is something that you will enjoy. Some of you have taken this in the room. If it's been a couple of years, it doesn't hurt. You may have some changes, but it will teach you to understand yourself, but more importantly, it's going to teach you how to understand others, and that is important, how they like to receive information back, and how you can adapt your behavioral style. This is just a little snippet. It also will tell you what your time wasters are. So if you are someone that get lost in the present moment, it'll tell you possible causes, and it will also give you some actions that you can act on. So my gift to you, it's a challenge. So just to wrap this up, my dad was very special to me. He left me with little nuggets of wisdom that I think back on. It was Easter weekend. I spent the last weekend with him just before I graduated from Pensacola State College. He would die the next week at 52, suddenly, of a heart attack. But I remember that weekend that I spent with him, he taught me a lot of things about, he said something to me that just has stayed with me, and that's, Carol, don't let your family define who you are. Go make your own success. And I remember thinking back on that many, many, many times. He created experiences for me that, made sure that I had things in school that I needed. And I just say to you today, if there's somebody that you want to say that you love, if there's somebody that you want to help, if there's something you want to do, you want to go travel, go do it. Go do it now, because you never know. And I also say that create those experiences for others, because I promise you will get the benefit too, and it will be a world of difference. I hope and bless all of you with abundance of good health, wealth, love, and happiness. Thank you.